This is breaking news coming in at this hour on World Today. The big Russia-Ukraine conflict and President Trump's intervention. He spoke to Zelensky first and then he spoke to President Putin. That's what the White House is saying. That's breaking news coming in. US President Trump dialed Zelensky first and then a conversation with President Putin is underway. The talks are very important, since President Trump is clearly the person responsible, according to both sides, as well as the mediators who spoke and the conversations that took place in Turkey, that unless and until President Trump intervenes, there can be no forward movement. President Trump and the White House making it very clear that if there is no breakthrough, US will walk away from this war, that this is not America's war. That's the big breaking news coming in. Trump is pinning his hopes on a fresh personal appeal to President Putin to get Kremlin leader to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire with Kyiv. A White House official also told wire agencies on condition of anonymity that the call had started. So the call between President Trump and President Putin as we speak, since we last saw reports, is underway. And before he went into that call with President Putin, he went ahead and had a conversation with President Zelensky. Trump is also set to ensure that there is a solution to the 3-year-old war, and that he has said that this is going to be very important for a forward movement when it comes to not just Russia-Ukraine, but America's involvement in the war. If he isn't able to bring about a breakthrough this time around, and if the impasse continues, then this is not America's war. Listen into what the Vice President of the United States of America had said.
Look, I'd say we're more than open to walking away. Look, the president's been very clear. This is not the United States is not going to spin its wheels here. We want to see outcomes. And the first major outcome that we wanted to see, which we were glad about, is that we wanted the Russians and the Ukrainians to put a real peace proposal on the table. What would you need to do in order to stop fighting? That happened. Look, I'd say we're more than open to walking away. Look, the president's been very clear. This is not the United States is not going to spin its wheels here. We want to see outcomes. And the first major outcome that we wanted to see, which we were glad about, is that we wanted the Russians and the Ukrainians to put a real peace proposal on the table. What would you need to do in order to stop fighting? That happened.
Now, Russian state media has said that the call between Donald Trump and Putin lasted for 2 hours and was very informative. That's the information coming in, which means that the call between the two leaders has ended. We will wait for the White House to brief reporters as to what really transpired between President Trump and President Zelensky, and later between President Trump and President Putin. Very important, because Putin has set the ground rules when it comes to a ceasefire, did not go to Turkey, downgraded the delegation, and now it was for Trump to intervene, who said if there is no breakthrough, America will walk away from this war.